All right, guys, breaking news this morning. Jay Glazer is reporting that the Cowboys have found their coach to replace Jason Garrett. Dallas will be hiring Mike McCarthy, the former Packers coach, to lead this team next season. Wow. Shannon, your reaction. Is this the right hire?
Well, Skip, I'm not surprised they made this hire because Jerry believes he has a team that's equipped to get to the Super Bowl. And the last thing you want is a first-year college coach or a first-year his first head coaching job, Skip, is to lead your team that you believe that you've assembled enough talent to get you to the Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy has won a Super Bowl. He's taken a team to several NFC title games, although we know how that ended up, Skip, the last couple of years. I think this is a good hire for him. You know exactly what you're getting with Mike McCarthy. For a long time, he was thought of, Skip, as one of the better offensive minds in football until I guess he and Aaron ran their course. It seemed to become stagnant. Maybe he put too much, maybe he got lazy, Skip, because sometimes you can tend to do that. If you have an all-time great quarterback, I can just run anything and he can make it work. It's going to be interesting to see. And it's another reason why he likes McCarthy, Skip. The power dynamic in Green Bay was Ted Thompson, it was Mark Murphy. So he's used to not having a whole lot of control other than just coaching. Because we believe the way the power structure and the dynamic is set up in Dallas, it would be similar to what he had in Green Bay. Skip, I like this hire because Jerry's saying, I got a team that can get to the Super Bowl. I don't want a guy trying to figure this out. Head coaching, what do I need to do, yada, yada, yada. I don't need him figuring this out on my watch. So I like the hire of all the people, Marvin. I like Marvin. I know Marvin very, very well. But
Marvin Lewis.
Yep. You hear, Skip, that maybe he and Hugh was going to be a package deal. Hugh was going to be his offensive coordinator.
Well, he insisted on it. That was the report.
Right.
That Marvin insisted Hugh be his offensive coordinator.
And the other guy, Jeff Fisher, I don't know why you'd get with one guy, Skip, that was notorious for going 8-8. To hire the guy that's the king of the 8-8.
He'd be the king.
And he'd be one better. He's also the king of 7-9s, too. But that's neither here nor there. They went with McCarthy. I like the hire, Skip. No splash, which is not, Skip. Jerry, a little splashy guy, you would think. But he said, you know what? Maybe this was Steven. Maybe said, Dad, Jerry, maybe we don't need to do splash. Maybe we need to get someone that's solid, that we believe that can take the team that we have assembled and get us to a Super Bowl. So...
Skip.
So,
your reaction.
I thought about Mike McCarthy all weekend. I thought too much about Mike McCarthy. And I concluded early this morning, because I knew we were going to have to discuss the possibility of Mike McCarthy, I just don't love it. I can't get excited about Mike McCarthy. I'm not saying it's bad because it's not bad.
Right. It's just not great.
Is he a dynamic leader? No. Again, I'm talking about in the wake of Jason Garrett, Coach Clapp. Is he a charismatic figure? Will he start a fire in my locker room? No, no, no. He's not that guy. He doesn't even cut a striking figure physically because he just looks like some guy who happens to be an NFL coach, right?
Right.
So what's going on here? I agree with your assessment. Jerry thinks they're right on the verge of winning. So he decided no Urban Meyers, no Lincoln Rileys. And again, I remain a big Urban Meyer guy. Urban Meyer has got charisma to him. He's got electricity to him. Wherever he went in college football, not good things, great things sparked and happened at Utah and Florida and Ohio State. Now, you can't recruit, obviously, in pro football. So I don't know. It would be much higher risk, but maybe much higher reward to go with Urban Meyer.
But he's going to help you. He's going to help you as far as the draft, because a lot of these guys that's coming out, that's what gave Jimmy the advantage.
Okay?
Interesting.
So, but Jerry said tried and true. So he went all the way to tried and truest. He went to the longest tenured NFL head coaches who are out of work right now. He started with Marvin Lewis. Okay, because I don't trust Jerry on this. Was Marvin Lewis just a Rooney Rule interview? It feels like it was.
Feels like it.
I'll tell you the truth. This is my conclusion. I was going to use this before the show. I would have liked Marvin Lewis more than Mike McCarthy. And I know Marvin was mired in too much mediocrity in Cincinnati, but he was strapped by one of the cheapest owners in pro football. It's a literal mom and pop operation in Cincinnati. Literally. And if you look at what he did through all those years, he still was, we'll see, nine games above 500.
Right.
And again, he made the playoffs 7 times, and they went 0 for 7.
Right.
But it was Andy Dalton. It was just,
right.
Listen, Marvin Lewis can coach defense. And if you told me that Mike McCarthy would be able to hire Marvin Lewis to coordinate the defense, I would then be ecstatic. But I'm going to doubt Marvin would go for that.
I would doubt that also.
Okay, somehow I hope that's a possibility.
Right.
So let's look at why would Jerry be intrigued by Mike McCarthy? What happened? Mike McCarthy won 1 Super Bowl in his NFL life, and it happened at Jerry World. So that day he's out there, and all he's hearing from all of his cronies is, boy, this Mike McCarthy can coach. He can call it. He can call them plays, Jerry. And yet, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, but through that period when they were at their best, starting with that wild card, and remember, that was a straight road wild card run all the way to a championship.
Yep.
That was 10 years ago. Through that time, Aaron Rodgers was crazy on fire. He was what you call him. He was a transcendent thrower of the football.
Right.
He was, to your point, the greatest thrower of the football ever through that period.
Right.
And it felt like Mike McCarthy rode those coattails, right?
Right.
Were they great on defense? They were that year because Clay Matthews sort of spearheaded the defense, right? Were they ever really great on defense?
No. Yeah, Charles Woodson.
You know, it was not. Bad, not bad, but was his calling card defense? Nope. He's an offensive guy. He's a play caller.
Correct.
And as Aaron began to, you disagree with this, but I believe Aaron's in some decline. And as he declined over the last 4 odd years, then they began to clash more and more. And boy, they fell off the face of the earth. They missed the playoffs the last 2 years, right?
Right.
So you're going to sell me on that? You can't sell me on that. And I get it that all Jerry knows is that they went up to Green Bay for a playoff game against Mike McCarthy. And again, it was the Dez caught it game, but he lost to Mike McCarthy.
Right.
And then Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers came to Jerry World 2016, Zeke's rookie year, and beat him in the playoffs.
Right.
So all Jerry knows is
the following year and beat him again.
Beat him again. They did. They beat him again at home.
Right.
And then this year, it wasn't Mike McCarthy, but he's thinking, gee, he's Green Bay. He's the Packers. He kept beating me. So if I can't beat him, I'm going to join up with him. He's going to be my head coach.
Skip, I'm always leery of a guy that coaches, especially an offensive guy that coaches an all-time great player. Because we've seen this. We've seen Josh McDaniels. When he goes to other places, he's not the same. We've watched Adam Gase. He's never been the same without Peyton Manning. It's going to be interesting to see how he looks without Aaron Rodgers, because those guys can, now we've seen guys that coach Brett Favre, Andy Reid has had great success. Even though he was a position coach, John Gruden, guys have had success. But it's going to be very interesting to see how good Mike McCarthy actually is, because you and I believe that Aaron Rodgers is a top-flight quarterback, whether he's declining or not. But during the period in which he coached it, he was top-flight. So it's going to be interesting to see Mike McCarthy, because I don't think people really is like, well, hell, I can call plays for Aaron Rodgers, and you get a lot of that. So we're going to see just how good Mike McCarthy is, and I agree with you. This is what Jerry wanted. Jerry's like, I got Zeke, I got yada yada. I'm going to bring – I say there's a 90+% chance he brings Amari back. Defense is under contract with the exception of Byron Jones. I need somebody that's coached a championship caliber team before, because they're ready. That's the only reason I can think of. And then Mike, like you said, of all the guys that's out there, the Marvin Lewises, the Jeff Fisher, the McCarthys, and some of the other guys, I think he said, this is the only guy that got a Super Bowl on his resume. Jerry liked that.
Okay. So why was I so against University of Oklahoma's Lincoln Riley? Again, I'm born and raised an OU fan. All offense, no defense. We don't need a wizard play caller. I thought Kellen Moore was pretty great most of the year. I don't know if Jason Garrett contributed to that, but I thought he was pretty great. So is Mike McCarthy going to insist on taking back over play calling? Because he gave it up for a while, and then he took it back.
Right.
Okay, so is Mike McCarthy going to be calling plays next year? I don't love it. I can't get more excited about it than Kellen Moore.
Was one of the stipulations that, okay, you get the head coach, but he stays on and he calls plays. Because if the reports are true, Marvin was insistent that Hugh Jackson called the plays.
Okay. My team needs a new mindset, a new fire starter on defense.
Yes.
The defense slowly faded into the sunset. It could not be trusted when it was time to either show up for kickoff or make the stop in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So will Mike McCarthy change life in Dallas on defense? Nope.
No, well, you better get somebody, Skip. He needs a fire and brimstone type guy on defense. Because I believe the defense had gotten soft. They had underachieved. They started reading their press clippings. They had gotten their big dollars, and all of a sudden, that hunger wasn't there like it was when they were playing for those contracts.
When we were talking about old, established NFL coaches, guys who are 60-ish, 50-ish.
Yeah.
Jarrett Bell, our friend from USA Today, brought up this morning, what about Bill Cowher? Obviously, he's been on TV for a long time.
I don't think Coach coming out.
Okay, but again, it's been 13 years since Bill Cowher coached down football in the NFL. But at least he was a defensive football coach. So my eyebrows went up because I'm thinking, Bill Cowher was a tough guy.
And he fire.
Woo.
Oh, he gonna light a fire on everybody.
Fire. And yet, is Mike McCarthy fire?
Nah.
No.
He might, Skip. I don't know him. I don't. It's funny thing, Skip. I made the Pro Bowl. He was my position coach at the Pro Bowl. He used to be a tight ends coach at Kansas City back in the mid-90s.
He did.
So that's my only interaction with him.
How did you find him? Zero? Like just
Skip, look.
like a bump on a log?
Skip, when you go to the Pro Bowl, you really tuning out everything. You ain't really paying no attention to nobody.
You're not going to get coached.
No.
Right?
No.
Well,
I had Coach Schuler one year. Coach Schuler was great, but I ain't really trying to listen.